This title sounds extreme on purpose, and it needs to be explained carefully. When people hear the phrase "the money trap is stealing your faith," the first reaction is often defensive. Some assume it is an attack on wealth. Others think it is another attempt to shame people for wanting stability, success, or provision. That is not what this is. This message is not about how much money you have. It is about what money is quietly doing inside you, shaping how you think, decide, and trust without asking for permission. The reason the title feels uncomfortable is because most people do not experience money as neutral. Money is emotional. It carries fear, hope, pressure, identity, and safety all at once. That makes it powerful, and anything powerful has the ability to influence faith, even when we do not intend it to. The trap is not money itself. The trap is what happens when money becomes the silent reference point for peace, security, and decision-making. Scripture never presents money as harmless. It also never presents it as evil by default. Instead, it consistently shows money as something that competes for trust. That competition is subtle. It does not announce itself. It grows quietly through habits, responsibilities, and survival thinking. Over time, people begin to say they trust God, but functionally rely on money for emotional safety. That gap between belief and practice is where faith begins to erode, not through rebellion, but through replacement. This is why the title is not an exaggeration. Faith is not stolen all at once. It is slowly crowded out. Most believers do not wake up one day and decide to stop trusting God. They simply start calculating everything. They measure every decision by financial risk, every opportunity by financial return, every season by financial pressure. Prayer becomes something they do around their plans, not something that shapes them. Over time, money becomes the filter through which they interpret life. The trap often starts with responsibility. You want to provide. You want to be wise. You want to avoid unnecessary struggle. Those are good desires. But when responsibility turns into internal pressure that never turns off, faith begins to shrink. You still believe in God, but you no longer rest in Him. You believe He exists, but you do not live as if He actively carries the weight of outcomes. That internal shift is rarely noticed, yet it changes everything. Another reason this title feels controversial is because many Christians have learned to separate faith from finances. Faith is seen as spiritual, internal, and personal. Money is seen as practical, external, and unavoidable. But Scripture does not separate them. Jesus spoke about money more than many other topics because money reveals trust faster than words. Where your money goes, your heart follows. Where your heart rests, your faith lives or weakens. The money trap also disguises itself as wisdom. Constant saving can feel like faithfulness. Constant working can feel like diligence. Constant worry can feel like care. But faith is not measured by activity. It is measured by reliance. When your mind constantly rehearses worst-case scenarios, when peace depends on your bank balance, when generosity feels dangerous instead of joyful, something has shifted. Faith has not disappeared, but it has been overshadowed. This is where many people get confused. They think their faith is weak because they feel anxious about money. In reality, their faith is being challenged daily by a system that rewards fear, urgency, and comparison. The problem is not that you struggle. The problem is that struggle has become normal. Anxiety about finances has become so common that it is rarely questioned. But common does not mean healthy, and normal does not mean aligned with truth. The title also feels strong because it challenges a cultural belief that more money will automatically bring peace. Many people believe that if they just earn a little more, save a little more, or eliminate a little more debt, peace will finally arrive. But peace does not come from financial resolution. It comes from trust alignment. Without that alignment, more money simply increases responsibility and pressure. The trap tightens as resources grow. This is not about rejecting planning or discipline. Scripture honors wisdom and stewardship. The issue is what happens internally when money becomes the primary source of reassurance. Faith begins to move from the center to the margins. God becomes someone you believe in, but money becomes what you depend on emotionally. That is the theft this title is pointing to. Not a loud robbery, but a quiet replacement. If this topic makes you uncomfortable, that does not mean it is wrong. It means it is touching something real. Faith is not fragile, but it is relational. It grows where trust is practiced, and it weakens where trust is outsourced. Money is one of the most common places where that outsourcing happens. If you've made it this far, just give it a like and subscribe for more content. Continuing. Look honestly at your daily patterns, not your beliefs, but your reactions. What happens inside you when an unexpected expense appears? How quickly does peace disappear? How fast does your mind shift into control mode? Those reactions reveal where trust is actually anchored. Faith is not proven by what you say you believe. It is revealed by what you default to under pressure. If money truly has not become a trap, then its presence or absence would not determine your emotional stability. You would still plan, still work, still steward, but your inner world would remain anchored. The problem is that for many believers, money has become the silent regulator of peace. When there is enough, they relax. When there is not, fear takes over. That pattern exposes replacement. Money has taken a role it was never meant to hold. Scripture does not condemn preparation. It confronts dependence. When Jesus spoke about worry, he did not say do not work or do not store anything. He asked why fear had authority over the heart. He pointed people back to trust in a Father who knows needs before they are spoken. Worry is not responsibility. It is a signal that faith is being overridden by fear-based forecasting. The practical step forward begins with redefining security. Security is not having enough stored. Security is knowing who sustains you. This does not mean you stop saving or planning. It means you stop using numbers to determine your sense of safety. Each time you check accounts to calm your anxiety, you reinforce the trap. Peace is not found in confirmation. It is found in trust. Next, you practice obedience before comfort. Many believers say they trust God but delay obedience until finances feel safe. Generosity becomes conditional. Faith becomes theoretical. Yet Scripture consistently shows provision following obedience, not preceding it. This does not mean reckless behavior. It means trusting God enough to move when He prompts, even when margins feel thin. That is where faith strengthens. When obedience costs something, trust grows. You also confront comparison. Money loses power when comparison is removed. The constant awareness of how others are doing financially feeds dissatisfaction and fear. Scripture calls contentment a form of strength. Contentment does not mean lack of ambition. It means freedom from needing more to feel secure. Without contentment, faith constantly competes with envy and pressure. Another essential step is learning to stop rehearsing loss. Many people live mentally in future disasters. They prepare emotionally for things that have not happened. This creates a life of constant tension. Faith does not deny risk. It refuses to live inside imagined outcomes. Each time your mind spirals, you redirect it back to truth. God is present. God is aware. God is faithful. Repetition builds alignment. You also need to audit what you truly believe about God's role in provision. Many Christians say God provides, yet live as if provision depends entirely on them. That belief creates exhaustion. Faith does not remove effort. It removes the illusion of control. When you release the burden of outcomes, peace has room to return. The money trap loses power when trust becomes practiced, not discussed. You will still face financial pressure. You will still make hard decisions. But the internal posture changes. Fear no longer leads. Faith, that shift is not emotional. It is intentional. This message is not a call to poverty or withdrawal. It is a call to freedom. Money is a tool. Faith is a foundation. When tools become foundations, everything becomes unstable. When faith is restored to its proper place, money returns to being useful instead of powerful. If you feel exposed by this topic, that is not condemnation. It is clarity. God does not compete with money for your attention. He invites you to notice where trust has drifted. When you realign the trust, faith strengthens and peace follows. The money trap only steals faith when it is allowed to. The moment you recognize it, its power begins to weaken. And when faith regains its place, money loses its ability to control your inner life.